with that said, it is now time to talk a little bit about some actual football. It is time for games of the week.
First game of the week here could possibly be the most boring of the three, but I'm taking a chance here. I'm taking Falcons versus Jags. Where are they playing, guys? It's an early morning game.
It's
It's
in
8:30 Central Time.
London.
Okay, so it's the London game, first one of the year, right?
Yep.
Um, Great matchup, NFL. But here's why I picked it as game of the week. Both of these teams are looking to get on the right track. Both of these teams have legitimate weapons and have shown some promise at one point or another. And I think this makes for a good matchup. Um, Maybe not the highest scoring game, but definitely like a close game. I'm crossing my fingers that like the last team that has possession, would be able to go down and score, win the game. Something exciting, something that probably makes the NFL want to continue the games overseas and in other countries and all that jazz. So it could be good. It also could be a huge bust.
Do you think this is going to be a big Calvin Ridley revenge game?
That's a good point. Um, I don't. I mean, did the Falcons suspend him, or did they just release him after he
It
got
was
his big
the
suspension from the NFL?
They actually traded him. The NFL had suspended him
Oh,
while he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
suspended. The Falcons traded him for like a sixth round pick to the Jags.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, big revenge game implications. I wonder if he's seeing it like that.
Good. It could also see it as a blessing in disguise because he was able to get out of Atlanta, where his career was going nowhere. Not necessarily because he wasn't good, just because the Atlanta Falcons are that bad.
I mean, just because it was a trade for a sixth round pick. Just imagine Calvin Ridley on that team with all the same weapons.
They still wouldn't
You
throw the
just
ball.
you add a quarterback to it, and that's a nasty team.
Oh, for sure.
Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. Like, goddamn.
And still no quarterback.
Still no quarterback.
The NFL is
You're the
currently in
Jets.
talks to expand their European games. They've been talking about going to Spain recently, and I believe the deal is almost done. What do you guys think about adding an additional European trip game now that they brought in Germany? So now they're in three countries, right? We've got Mexico City game that they typically do. We've got I think we've got three or four England games this year, and then they've got the one Germany game. What do you guys think about adding in Spain?
Well, they're not just adding in Spain; they're talking about adding in Brazil as well. Going
Holy
South America
smokes.
there. That would be extremely exciting to see down there.
Because we can't go to Mexico City for a while, right? While they're building the
Yes.
World Cup stadium.
That's interesting. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of all these different country games in the United States. A lot of things that players will talk about if we're looking at guys who have come over from Europe to play in the Major League Soccer. The issue that they have here is being able to or having to travel around the country in all the different time zones with the long travel times that they have to do here is not something that they've necessarily had to deal with on a consistent basis in Europe. And our players already have to deal in the NFL already have to deal with the travel around the country, let alone now having to travel halfway across the world just to play one game and come back. Do do we think continuing to add these games across the pond is gonna gonna continue to deteriorate or implode any injuries that are happening already?
It may do that for some injuries, but I think the main thing it's going to do is they're going to try to make the teams that are coming back from those games be on bye week the next week, or they stay an extra week, like the Jaguars are doing, and play two games in a row, then get your bye, something like that. So they're trying to adjust it as best as they can, but only time will tell with what'll happen.
Yeah, injury implications is definitely something to look at, but there's another side of this thing that really stinks specifically for NFL fans. Like They added a game in the regular season, sure, but you're still taking home games away from certain fans. You're a team in that involved in that is getting one less home game. It's not both of the teams don't suffer. Like one of the teams is losing a road game, and that's essentially the same as playing on the road. For the fan for like hometown fans' sake, you're going to watch it on TV. Most people don't really travel with the team unless you're filthy stinking rich because that costs a lot of damn money. Um, but yeah, you're certain fan bases are losing out on the home game, and they pay for season tickets. They pay for the tickets. That's in my mind that's who's really losing out, and that's who the product is for.
Well,
So
and when the NFL decides to put a primetime game like the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Miami Dolphins together for an 8:30 a.m. game in a totally different country, they're negating a large portion of their audience here in the United States who they're either going to force to wake up that early or just simply not be able to watch it. And that's they can't do those sorts of games.
I definitely think the NFL is banking on people just like they're gonna get up and watch it. Like, I mean, most Chiefs fans are. Who do you know is not going to get up to watch a Chiefs game?
No, I'm not even talking about here in Central. I'm just saying that's simply a primetime game. It's two of the best teams in the NFL going at it. And now
Yeah.
you're negating everybody who's on Mountain Time or West Coast, because if it's shooting at 8:30 in the morning Central Time, that's 7:30 Mountain and that's 6:30 West. That's
Least
just simply too early for a lot of these folks. That's where the NBA gets in trouble. Not to go off on a different tangent, but that's where the NBA can get in trouble having a lot of the West Coast times games going on in prime time. You're negating the East Coast. And that's where the NBA gets in trouble with those things.
And now moving on to the next game of the week. It is not a primetime game or a game overseas. It is the Dolphins versus the Bills. Should be a primetime game. Unfortunately, we have a noon game for them. Dolphins are coming off scoring 70 points. Bills are coming off of scoring 38 and then 37. AFC East rivals here. This is going to be a great matchup. It's probably going to be the best defense Tua faces this early on in the season. So let's see if the Dolphins' offense is for real or if the Bills are going to struggle and choke it away, and if Josh Allen has too many turnovers, if he will make them lose the game. Very excited about this one, though.
The Bills are all right on defense, but I think they're about to get spanked.
Yeah, having the Bills as the favorites, even though they're at home in this game, the way they've played this season, I don't see this going their way.
If it was cold outside, I could definitely see it go their way, but
I mean it could very well end up being Dolphins Chargers week 1, like the Bills offense could do it. I just think their defense hasn't looked good enough. They don't have the ability to create pressure that I feel like is what causes two of the most problems. Causes any quarterback the most problems outside of Patrick Mahomes. But we haven't. Tua's only taken one sack this year, so he hasn't been in been under too much pressure. No, so I don't think the Bills are the team to create that pressure, which is why I think the Dolphins keep rolling here. But
did Tua have his first concussion or second concussion against the Bills last year?
I have no idea.
I remember
it was a good game.
Yeah, I want to say it was his second. Because
that's in play this time too. Then,
yeah,
you think it's going to be back to that?
I think they've done much better on the offensive line to protect him this season. Time will tell. But like Tybo said, like their defense isn't necessarily the Bills' defense isn't what it was last year. And I still think they're missing Vaughn. Is that correct? And so having that big piece out there, their defensive line just hasn't been what it should be, and we probably shouldn't expect Tua to be under much pressure this week. In our final game of the week, it is the Bucks versus the Saints. I know what you're thinking. Two defensive heavy teams from the crappy NFC South. No, this is going to be.
That's not what I was thinking.
This is going to be a drag down, knockout sort of game. Two solid defenses, two offenses that have some pretty good weapons surrounding their quarterbacks, with two quarterbacks that have been very lackluster their entire careers, minus a year or here or there. Derek Carr is out with a shoulder injury for the foreseeable future. That means Jameis Winston is coming in for the New Orleans Saints against his
revenge game, baby,
where he threw where he went 30 for 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
He's going to go 3 for 3 this game.
12 fumbles in the same years, 42 total turnovers.
3 for 3.
And then you've got Baker Mayfield on the other side, who, when given weapons around him and ample time in the pocket, has been good, but also has had very poor decision-making as well. This is going to be a get-right game for the Bucks, who got absolutely knocked out by the Eagles last week. And this is going to be a chance for the Saints to try and get one over on their in-division rivals to see if they can squeak a division win out by the end of the season. I personally don't believe Jameis is that good of a quarterback, but this is going to be potentially one of the last few tests that he has to continue to make it in this league, either as a starter or as a backup. This is going to be one of his final tests that he has or is allowed to have.
Do you think this comes down more to quarterback play or defense? Because I think both defenses have that ability to score a lot of points in this game.
Both defenses have the ability to score, but I do think it's going to come down to quarterback play. Which quarterback is going to have a better day? It always comes down to
Sean. Jesus Christ.
It always comes down to quarterback play. Which quarterback's going to play better and be able to get his team in position to at least score from a field goal, if not his touchdowns? We know that these defenses are good. Which quarterback can get more points on the board?
Look, so Baker Mayfield has been in plenty of I got nothing to lose situations. When he came into the Rams last year, put on a show, first game or whatever. I think his chances are all but up, and Jameis Winston is finally like he's in I got nothing to lose here. Like I came into the season as a backup. Let me sling this motherfucker. Like Jameis Winston is going to come out swinging, and this is his old team. This is the Jameis Winston revenge game.
Jameis Winston has had to play against the Bucks previously. He was a starter for the Saints at one point, and in any point in his career as a Saint, when have they ever allowed him to just go out and throw it?
Because it's different.
In what way, Typo?
Because I'm saying it.